So I do share quite a lot on my channel. I share a lot of, you know, things that I'm going through, stages, energetic waves and shifts. And I also sometimes share some readings as well. And yeah, like basically I do that, and it's kind of because we are on a journey, we are experiencing these ways, but at the very center of it, the fact that we're having these connections is to break templates and unhealthy patterns that we are playing out. So whilst you can kind of resonate with things and we're all on a similar kind of wave and there are spiritual things going on, there's also a lot to kind of learn and process with these connections. And it doesn't just happen by sitting and waiting for them to happen. It happens because you do the work on yourself. You realise where your patterns are. You realise what you're here to clear and to work on. So this video is, so I share kind of insights that I've worked on, things that have come up for me, things that I've worked through, things that I'm working through. Like a big thing for me that I wanted to talk about is like how to feel beautiful and worthy. Now, when we meet a really strong connection, be it a twin flame or a soul connection, often, even if this is very suppressed and we're not massively aware of it, will bring up fears of not being worthy, maybe physically in some way or financially, or there'll be something that comes up. And I truly believe that you have to follow through with the connections. Like sometimes you'll learn something, like I have, like I feel really done actually at the moment with doing any more work with this connection, and I feel like it's just time to be and work on myself now. But for a long time I felt guided to interact, and I feel like that was for a reason, because even though now I can sit and think, why did I allow that for so long? When I really dig deep, I can see why I was still needing to be in that connection, because it was teaching me a hell of a lot. To be so physically involved with it was teaching me a lot of overcoming my own avoidance issues. So there's normally many lessons involved. So having the boundaries and I feel like they all culminate in standing in your own truth, being able to stand in your own truth, feeling divinely worthy of love, and then being able to set personal boundaries. But there are periods where you will have guidance where you maybe look back later and think, well, why did I allow that? But really, when you look at it, you can see why sometimes, because maybe you needed to keep up a friendship for a while because there was certain lessons that you needed to get from doing that, like overcoming fear, anxiety, and kind of more avoidance issues. So, ultimately you do have to follow your own guidance on things. There is not a one-stop shop for anybody, and that's why you can listen to videos, but you have to take what's right for you in the moment. And the moment totally changes. What's right for you in one moment isn't right in another moment, because ultimately if we have a connection to somebody, it's not, there's something they're there to show us, and it's all very well you can cut it off physically in your life and move on, but if you're still being hounded by the connection, it's because they're showing you something's out of order and out of line with the connection you have to yourself. So sometimes there are reasons to follow your guidance, but it's just very important to work out where the guidance is coming from. Like, is it coming from a need, or is it coming from like a genuine place of guidance? If it's from a genuine place of guidance, then I always say to follow it, because it's leading you in the right direction. So how to really truly love yourself? Well, I mean, I'm going to share a little bit about my journey first, so you can see where I come from. So I always had massive issues with my appearance and my weight, and not feeling like I was enough to keep somebody like happy. So I would then avoidance and kind of not allow things to get close. I'd always mark people down as players, and that's a longer story. There's a lot more layers to that. But so basically I had big issues with appearance and weight and physically. And obviously I chose very hard, and with rejection as well. So I obviously chose to work in the industries that would push me to the core the most. I did some modelling and then fashion photography, both where you're heavily bombarded with this physical perfected idea of beauty. So I was constantly in a funk because I didn't really know how to love myself on a true level. So what tends to happen when you don't love yourself is you overcompensate and you undercompensate. So sometimes people, it's like when there's an imbalance, when you don't love yourself in a true divine way and you don't truly accept yourself and feel worthy, you can over project and under project. So under project is kind of not wanting to show anybody yourself, not wanting to, whereas I kind of tended to over project. So I'd put up all these photos of myself. I remember when Facebook first came out, it was before all these auto-tune things, and this is actually no word of a lie, and I will truly admit to this, that I used to get photos of us all after a night out. Because I was a photographer and I was really into using editing software, I used to get images from nights out. I'd run them through Photoshop so I could, like, you know, liquefy in my arms and stuff so they didn't look fat in pictures. I'd like airbrush my skin a bit and then I'd post them. And because no one knew of all these things, no one knew. And it was like I had such an obsession with perfectionism, I couldn't bear to let anybody see the real me. So obviously I then projected that outwards by never feeling perfect enough for anybody else, feeling very insecure, feeling very jealous of everybody else, like other women, always marking myself physically against other women. I'd go on modelling jobs, like to a catwalk show or something, to do a catwalk, and I'd always look at everybody else and think they're so skinny and I can see why they're all here, but I just don't fit. Why am I here with them? And it was just a horrible time. So people often that are working in these industries are often like, you think, oh, but they model, so they're, you know, they obviously love themselves. But deep down, often over projection is just as bad as under projection because over projection is also very similar in that you're needing validation from people. And I have actually been in that situation, so I can speak from that side. It's like you only matter when people validate you, and that isn't really any form of self-love. So people that you see that maybe look a little bit narcissistic in a level are actually also lacking in true self-love and self-worth because they're needing validation from other people to feel worthy, to feel wanted, to feel attractive, to feel beautiful. And those kind of people, what they tend to do is they get drawn into relating experiences with people that make them feel a lot worse about themselves, because maybe they'll have some kind of intimacy disorder, so they're obsessed with, like, they can't single focus on one person, or, you know, and they'll look at other people and you're out with them and things like this, because really they're forcing you to recognise your own divinity and your own divine love and your own divine light, because really you can't ever find your own beauty and your own self-worth from validation from another, be it a partner, be it social media, any of these things. It's fine to do it, no problem. Do a selfie, do whatever you want, but it's like where it comes from. Are you doing it because you have a need to self-validate? And unfortunately, we're really being pushed into this right now, because what I used to do with all my editing of my photos, so my face looked perfect and my arms looked super skinny, was all really what everyone's doing now with auto-tune. It's funny because now I've stopped doing it so much. I don't really, you know, obviously I want to take a nice picture, I'm human, but I actually don't edit mine now in anything like the same way that I used to. I used to be terrible before these apps came out, and now all the apps are on people's phones and they're able to do it like that. And it's like people are not even able. I remember if anyone used to tag me in a photo back in those days where I used to edit myself to look perfect, I would freak out because I couldn't bear to see the real me. It like horrified me that I hadn't had the chance to edit it and alter the imperfections. So I'd literally, and it was in the days where you couldn't just untag yourself, so I'd literally go and phone people and say, oh my God, you have to, I don't care where you are, you have to untag that picture because I'm not on my computer and I can't untag it on my phone. And I'd go crazy because, I mean, it's sad. It's sad for me to admit that I would go literally crazy if I saw the real me that I hadn't had a chance to kind of filter first and perfect. So obviously this gives you a very messed up relating experience with others, because not only do you then have a perfect thing for other people, like you need to seek perfection, like you need somebody that people will be proud of you to be dating. It's almost like you would feel like you feel like other people need to see you with the perfect person. Does that make sense? And it's a really, really messed up pattern, but it is a pattern, and a lot of people have it to some degree because not many people have truly, truly found their true love of self, the divine. Self-love isn't about, oh, I'm the most attractive, beautiful person. It's about pure acceptance for who you are with all your imperfections, because nobody is perfect. If you're looking for perfection in yourself and others, then you'll be looking forever until you will never find it, because nobody is perfect and you will never be perfect. And trying to attain it in any way is just an unwinnable battle. So finding divine love and finding your beauty is actually really just accepting all the ways that you're not perfect, and accepting that that doesn't stop you from having unconditional love. It might even do you good to write down all the ways, just once, that you don't feel worthy of love or you don't feel perfect enough, and then to really try to embrace those things in yourself. Because, I mean, don't get me wrong, like, self-love is a great thing to have, as in looking after your body. I'm not saying let yourself go. Look after yourself, feel good. There's no bad thing in wanting to eat healthy, wanting to work out, wanting to be in good shape. But that's actually self-love as well, because anything else is self-harm. Self-love is wanting to look after your body and to look after your vessel and to be healthy and to give it nurture and self-love. Self-love isn't, being addicted to alcohol or trashing your body and all these things. Like, that isn't self-love. Self-love is honouring your body and looking after it and keeping it as healthy as you physically can keep yourself. That is a wonderful thing to have. But then it's also embracing the imperfections that you do have, because trust me, everybody has them. Like, I can honestly say I've worked in fashion photography. I've worked with some of the most beautiful models, like the skinniest models, the slimmest models, amazing bodies, and a lot of them do have self-worth issues. Not all of them. It's mixed. It's like society, but unfortunately that industry does seem to attract in a high level of it, because it's so physically kind of, physicality and the beauty is of such importance that it does tend to attract a lot of people with a lot of self-embracing to do. And, the amount of them that do have unhealthy body images, despite being the people that everybody else is jealous of, is sign in itself that actually having self-love and loving yourself unconditionally has nothing to do with your physical appearance. As long as you're healthy and you're doing the best with yourself, everything else just comes down to acceptance and embracing yourself for everything that you are, and seeing yourself as special and unique, but not in an overcompensatory way where you need other people to validate that specialness. It's about understanding you're special and everybody else is special and unique. not needing to overcompensate. The validation is the big part. It's like, why do you do the things that you do on a day-to-day basis? Why do you wear makeup? Why do you do your hair? Why do you work out in the gym? You know, if it's to make yourself feel good, then that's amazing, that's great. If it's to get validation to make yourself feel beautiful, then no, it's not. It's why you can always see with the makeup, like when it's done in a way to get validation because somebody physically can't be seen without it. I've had that pattern as well, and that's a very unhealthy pattern to have. Now I can take it or leave it. I can happily come on and do a video and I've not got any makeup on. Sometimes I like to make an effort and I like to make myself look good, but it comes from a very different place now to where it used to come from. So I'm sharing my history to tell you, and I'm not saying that I'm there yet, that I'm like 100% self-loving and that I don't have days where I'm not, but I am a million times better than where I used to be because I did the work on myself and I used the connection, the strong connections that I had to soul connection, to twin flame, to learn to love myself. It's like I got so trodden down to my core to the point where I couldn't feel any less validated in my beauty by somebody. Like I couldn't be made to feel less attractive because I'd have connections, you know, were like obsessed with being my friend but wouldn't be like intimate or would look at other people or you know, and it was all just showing me how I wasn't really truly accepting, loving and embracing myself, that I was drawing in this type of behaviour. So really a huge thing of this journey is learning to fully accept ourselves and feel worthy of divine love, because when you have a twin flame, you're seeing divine love, and a lot of times it's scary and you don't feel worthy of it until you've really accepted your divine beauty and love within. So if you're not getting the kind of validation that you need or you want from somebody else that you want to get it from, then that's because you're not finding it within yourself. You have to validate yourself first. Looking outside for validation will never lead to happiness, and it will never lead to fulfillment. It will lead to a constant cycle of pain and need for more. And then it's why you see celebrities get into a mess, because they get so validated, and then when people like get bored or move on to someone else, then it creates a massive breakdown because they don't know who they are anymore without the validation of others telling them they're beautiful and successful, and everything we have to find within. So if you're in any way feeling like you're not worthy enough for your connection, then it's because you're not accepting your own divine beauty, and that's what you need to work on. So I thought this video was really important to put out today. Kind of came up in some conversation, and I honestly can truly say that I have had this pattern myself of feeling the need to be validated by others, and it looks overcompensationally from the outside. It looks like maybe narcissism, whatever it looks like, but really it's just a deep need to feel beautiful enough, to feel needed, to feel wanted, to feel people like you, to feel you're enough, you know. But none of this stuff can come from anybody else. It doesn't matter if 1,000 people like your profile picture or a man's hanging on your every word. You will never find it in those settings. You have to find it within. And this is what the twin flame teaches, because with soul connections, you can sort of balance things externally somewhat. The twin flame journey is all about yourself. It's a big difference between the connections. So the twin flame journey is about, they're showing you every connection you have to yourself. So if something's out of whack with how you connect to yourself, then it's going to show up straight away. It doesn't fix itself like the soulmate connection. You just have to keep going within and looking within. So hopefully this triggers something for people. It's one of my longer videos. I try to keep them to under 10 minutes if possible, because I I know these days attention spans are not the longest, and I'm talking about my own as well. I'm so used to this digital age. But anyway, yeah, I hope this kind of resonated and maybe just triggered something in you of learning really to stop looking outside for your validation and really, really question why you don't love yourself, why you can't embrace all of yourself, why you can't accept yourself with your imperfections. Why do you feel like only perfect people get love? Because when you actually look around, the perfect people very often don't. People that find true love are the ones that find it inside of themselves first. So just something for you to think about today.